Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and it's great to have Sandeep here. You're somebody that's been behind, so many different important technologies, but really been incredible in the blockchain space with what you did with Polygon, and now taking that amazing success and trying to be really charitable with it. Giving back millions and millions of dollars to all different types of important causes, whether it's around COVID-19, whether it's around things with the environment and climate. You've been really at the forefront, and now also health too, with really trying to take a lot of the success you've had and channel that to helping others, which I think is really important. And I'm excited to have you here and to get into your story.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Ben, for having me here.
Awesome. So just kind of going back to the beginning, like how did your interest in building tech companies, being an entrepreneur, how did that happen? Because you were involved in a bunch of different things. You built a leading company, in India beforehand. Scopeweaver was the largest marketplace for professional services. Then you got into the blockchain space. Now you're in AI. How did this interest happen?
Yeah, I think it's a long story, but like the origin story is is basically I came from a very kind of like in US they would say humble backgrounds, but
Mhm.
like when you say Indian humble backgrounds versus like a US humble background, it's a very different story. But let's keep it at that, and then basically I did not like have computers or anything, unlike a lot of big stories about some of the biggest visionaries and entrepreneurs of the world. Like they have been on computers like since they're 5 years of age or 10 years of age and all that. I actually did not even have a computer for quite late in my engineering also, because I couldn't buy one. But basically, I think like just after I finished my school, and in India you basically apply for the engineering exams and all that, and I got two three options. And that time I saw Mark Zuckerberg on Indian television somewhere. Like he had built this amazing Facebook thing and this and that, and I very stupidly, without much research, I just said like I will build my own Facebook, right? This kind of stuff, like very very stupid. But since then, like I actually, coming from the background like me, like now it will look very a very stupid comparison, but I was getting into the merchant navy engineering school from the IITs in India, right? I had a kind of call letter and all that from them. And versus like I was getting computer science in a not so great engineering, like not that Ivy League engineering, right? So for quite some time I thought about that, and my family also, everybody wanted me to go into merchant navy or marine engineering as they call it. And because the pay is super high there, like you can get paid like, that time it was like $3,000-4,000 a month, $5,000 a month. In India it's a huge salary. So obviously, like as the elder child, like of the whole clan, and which is coming from very poor background, like everybody expected me to be there. But I thought that I just imagined my life over there. I said, no, this is not how I want to have the impact. I think I can have a much bigger impact. So listening to that interview from Mark Zuckerberg and all that, I said, no, I will go for this computer science, even though it's a much, let's say, comparatively not an Ivy League college, but I will go there because I will find my way further.
So what
Glad
kind of
I
led
found
you
something. Uh,
what led you to thinking about building a marketplace for professional services? How'd you land on that idea first?
so I before that only, like I did my engineering. After that, I worked in a very popular software firm, and then I went for my MBA. And after that, I worked in the business for 2 3 organizations. One of them, actually, I was running the e-commerce business for them, right? Like as a CTO and all that. And we used to hire a lot of vendors and all that. Plus, during all this while, I was doing a lot of part-time startups. And I always felt this need of, like, any kind of service you need, like either you go to Upwork, for example, like if you want to have a UI UX designer as a contractor, right, or a website builder or an app builder and all that, you would go to a service, like like a freelancer, where the quality is like hard to determine. And also it's a freelancer, many times you want to give a turnkey project, especially when I was working with this company. And problem is that India has a large service market, right? Like apart from these big Infosys and TCS and Cognizant and these big services giants from India, IT services giants, India also has a lot of mom and pop service providers who provide these online services to a lot of US clients and all that. And problem was there is no standardization in this. Like what these service providers will do is, let's say you wanted to have a website built for your your podcast, and you want to build some more application features into it. You can log in and chat and blah blah blah. Everybody, if you talk to 10 service providers, even though they don't have competency in that, they will say, yeah, we know, they will sell you some previous thing that they have built and all that. And because most of the clients being non-tech, they will be able to sell. And then later on, what will happen is they will get some junior people to start building, learning about the technology and all that. And obviously the first product that will build will be absolutely, it will look decent like on the front, but everything will fail there. So I wanted to standardize that. And the concept was like, basically Alibaba did this for Chinese manufacturing. Can I do it for Indian services businesses? So that's when that idea was there, because I was the user on the other side, right? I was using a lot of service providers to build the e-commerce website, do the SEO and marketing, do the design and all that. And the services and costs were really really high, and I wanted to have a platform where you could hire these vendors in a more service defined and service quality control manner, whereas the pricing is also is not determined by them but the market in a way. So that was
So
the thing.
how did your interest in blockchain happen? Were you thinking about it at that time, or when you were CTO at the other company? Like, what got you interested in blockchain and wanting to build in there?
Yeah. So basically, very early in the day, like 2010, like recently, one of my engineering, when I was in the final year of engineering, one friend of mine like called, we had a chat after like probably 15 years. We spoke in 2010 only. And he was telling me, bro, you remember that we were sitting in some stairs on this particular lab, and you were telling me that we should mine Bitcoin, but you didn't have a laptop, and you were telling me that I should mine Bitcoin on your laptop. So even I forgot about that completely, right? So, but I only knew at that time that Bitcoin mining can get you some pocket money, and I wanted to get some pocket money so that I don't have to, kind of rely on the family and put the pressure on them. Instead, I can earn for them. So then in 2013, when I was doing my MBA, then also Bitcoin again came along, and this time I set up a miner and everything. But by that time, whatever laptop I had in 2013 was like too weak to mine anything, right? I realized this is not going to do anything. And but then I remember distinctly, I went on to read about Bitcoin. And like, I'm not a very prolific reader generally. So I just read the first two paragraphs. And the first two paragraphs on the website was that, Bitcoin is a on, internet native money. It is not backed by anything. I said, it's not backed by anything. In India, there's a lot of these MLM scams, right? Pyramid scheme scam that they sell you something and all that. I said, this is some sort of scam. I can't do this, right? So I simply went away from that. And then after doing this Scopeweaver in 2016, I was again, Bitcoin came into my radar, because while doing Scopeweaver, it was doing well, it was generating money, but I was becoming the center. Like, I was also becoming a service provider. It's just that I was subletting it to other service providers, right? I'm the marketplace, but in service business, I realized that the clients actually want a face, like who they are selling to. So they will always make me mediator, keep fighting with them. So I realized this is not scalable. I want to do extremely scalable businesses. So I started looking into AI and other deep technologies. And that time I came across Bitcoin again. And before that, I started going into AI, but I realized there's too much mathematics, and I've been out of engineering for like 6 years. So a lot of people have a lot of this thing and all that, and this Bitcoin thing came across to me. And I realized, wait, this scam is still alive? Like, what's going on? Like, what am I missing here? Because the Bitcoin was in 2016, it was another halvening year. So Bitcoin was like raging up again. And then I said that there is something I'm missing. Let me go back and read. Then I simply went to the source, which is the Bitcoin white paper. And I read the white paper, and then I realized that, oh, this is serious. This is basically, they are built from a computer science engineer perspective. I thought that they are built like an application which is not run by one single body, which is a payment application, right? Is run by multiple people, multiple blockchains, multiple validators, nodes, and nobody single controls it, right? And by that time also, Bitcoin hash power was too big for any sovereign country to also control. And then, but I thought that, okay, this is cool, but this is only payments, and the TPS is low, and this and that. But I just thought to myself that, what if somebody could build custom business logic for this, right? Like in such a setting. And then, like maybe 2 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, I came across Ethereum was having its DAO moment, right? And I said,
Mm.
oh, this is a Turing complete language where you can build custom smart contracts on top of it. This is the thing. And the other good part was I realized that Solidity is a language. As a language just started, so it's not like the market has a kind of advantage on top of me. Like I am also learning the new. Some of the engineers are also like everybody's learning new, right? So then I went head first into that, and then since then it's been a journey into this rabbit hole.
So how did you guys kind of, you and all your other co-founders, kind of come together, and what was like the first version of Polygon? Like, how long did it take to make it? What did it even look like?
Yeah, so basically I started running I started becoming part of few Bitcoin WhatsApp groups and all that, initially Bitcoin and crypto WhatsApp group. And since I was technical, so a lot of people started looking up to me if they have a problem setting up their wallet, because that time these services and all that were not that readily
Mm.
available, right? Like people were getting scammed all the time and all that, and they would send their Bitcoin to Litecoin address and blah blah blah. So I used to help a lot of people troubleshoot. So I started becoming like a prominent members in few of these groups, and one of the group I was an admin, where my other co-founder Jayanti also joined, and he's a much better programmer than me. Like I was basically a part-time programmer, more of like wanted to be on the techno functional side, and he joined there, and then he was building earlier a particular product, and he spoke with me. By that time I had made some money in crypto, with this Bitcoin and these. I had put in a lot of like money, whatever capital I had earned in my professional life in the last 3 4 years. I put all of that in Bitcoin, which was also very stupid. I put at like maybe 800 $900, but I could have been that kind of FOMO. I could have had the same FOMO at 20K also, and that would
Mm.
have reduced my capital, because I was just like in love with that technology. So the thing is that one project, he reached out to me for like some, I think, investment only, but then I did not. I thought that this event tracker project is not great. But then later on he started working on Plasma, and by that time I had already started consulting a lot of projects, like actually developing also some smart contracts for their applications. And I knew that Ethereum is absolutely not scalable for any mass scale application. So, and then he was already contributing into the Plasma group, which was started by Vitalik Buterin only. So then when we spoke about this, that was the thing when he explained, and what his vision was, that he wanted to have a EVM on the layer 2, which I said that absolutely, because before that people are trying to do this lightning network. There was this Raiden network, right, as a layer 2, which was only doing payments on the layer 2. And I said that like people want the full smart contract functionality, not only payments on this. Why would I deposit for 7 days and just do the payments and then I withdraw, blah blah blah. So that's when, like I said, that this looks really cool, and would love to join hands and all that. And then we joined hands. So we met also as co-founders. We met also online discussing crypto somewhere, and then we met, and we other third co-founder also met us, and we hit it off, and since then it's been a
Mhm.
journey.
How did you get Polygon out there? Like, was this just really grassroots of just, you were in these chats, you knew some people kind of in the community, you shared what you built, and then it kind of took off from there?
No, no, no. That was like, Polygon. It was previously called Matic Network, right? So
Hmm.
the name given by my other co-founder Jayanti, like, so we call him JD fondly. So basically we started Matic Network. I raised I set up the company, raised the round, first round, very small round, seed round, and all that. And after that, the 2018, the bear market came in, right? So, and we were a project building from India, and just before that, in the bull market, there were two Indian based projects, which two or three basically people considered scam. Like two of them were like probably like exit scams only, right? So nobody really, because it's a global thing, right? Everybody is on telegrams and all that, and they're like, it used to be like Indian projects are scam, right?
Wow.
And we wanted to, basically, I could have raised the funds earlier, but I tried to go the more moral high ground way, that we will not launch on white paper. We will actually deliver a testnet, and then we'll launch. By the time we could go on the testnet, we were in full blown 2018 bear market. So
Mm.
nobody would put, first of all, it's bear market. Then nobody wanted to put money into like an Indian project, especially considering the history before that. And that was a very tough time from there, because we had a very small amount of fund. We founders were taking very very small, like $1,000 per month we were taking salary maximum for us. And many times we would always come close to like 3 months of runway. Then we would have to go I would have to go like almost beg somebody to like give us runway for 3-4 months, and our entire runway was like probably 10K month. Like we had like all interns, junior engineers, some of them, like now people call it Polygon mafia. Basically a lot of those people like grew up and then started other prominent companies and all that. So but then for us it was a very tough journey after that, and only in 2019 we kept on building. We used to participate in a lot of hackathons and all that. Only in 2019 when then we applied for the Binance launchpad, and Binance team realized that these people are actually building genuine technology and all that, and they did a very thorough, like generally for a US based team it will take like probably 1 month 2 months of analysis. For them, for us they took like 8 to 9 months of analysis. And we wrote like, probably I have never written that much amount of text in my life, like probably maybe hundreds of pages of that, this thing on the tech, this, that, GTM, what is that, this. But then eventually they got convinced, and we launched our Binance launchpad, and from there the little bit journey started. But there are again like other problems of the journey were that you have like similar kind of layer twos being funded by A16Z and Coinbase and multi coins and big kind of funds of the world. And they would obviously the high quality builders from US who could also raise money. Like, I mean, you need builders who can actually raise money to build apps on your platform, right? And it's not like they can't be like, all of them can't be like simple bootstrapped people, right? You need high quality people. But for us it was very hard for them to convince that, oh no, come and build on our chain. So what we did is we went with a very grassroots kind of strategy, because we couldn't get like these premium seed funded builders to come and build with us. So we went into like very very grassroots level. We would go, like, I remember, like, I don't know how many countless hackathons I went. Each of the builders, I would go to their desk, what they are building, explain them about what they are doing, this, that. Like, it was a lot of grind. And then also, even then, like, nobody paid any attention to us, because for us, we were, for the longest time, we were like Indian scam, or like Binance launchpad scam, like those kind of like abuses we get hurled at. And only in 2021, like at one point it became like such a, what do you call, what's the right word for this, like kind of perplexing thing, that people would, even some of the people started talking publicly that like there's so much, like so many apps. Like that time I think total number of apps was like 200, 300, and out of them 100 of them have already deployed on Polygon and all that. You're like, why is this thing like not being valued and all that? And eventually, like, we onboarded, we acquired our fourth co-founder's company, Mahalo, who was like working on this Polygon idea and all that. And I kind of, I and him discussed, and I thought that Polygon was a much better brand for us, instead of like Matic Network, which is like a just cool chill thing like we wanted to do, instead of like Polygon, which is a serious multi-chain brand and vision we wanted to position. So we acquired and rebranded to Polygon. And I think only when my fourth co-founder, when he also joined, he came from the core Ethereum community, and people knew him also. And then they, like, our message started going into the larger Ethereum ecosystem. And then from there, like, our journey was, then we exploded basically, and then we became the Polygon that Polygon is today.
So when did you decide that you wanted to start focusing on, like, charity and healthcare and kind of giving back, and what made you want to, really build a big initiative that is also decentralized and have that at the core of what you're doing?
See, to be honest, it was not a well thought through, kind of thing at that time. It was like more of a passionate action and all that, because my family, ourselves, we had, by that time, like, I had already shifted to Dubai and all that.
Mhm.
And my family got COVID in India, and India had a very brutal COVID wave, like where everyone was dying, even if you are like the who's who of the society, because the hospitals are completely full. You can't get a bed, and people are dying on the streets literally at that point in time. And even my family got it, like my grandmother got it. Like, it was very clear at that time that there would be, like, our family will not be 100%, not everyone will survive, because at that point in time my mom, dad, my grandmother, everybody got COVID. So at that point in time, I wrote this tweet which became viral and all that, where I said that can't take this thing standing down, because see, we all human beings have like two kind of responses, like fight or flight response. And I basically, by that, till that time, I had this flight response, basically, that just stay away from the COVID, like stay at home and all that stuff. But at that moment, my fight response came out, like, and I said that, I wrote in the tweet that can't take this standing lying down, and then I'm not only, I will, my family will fight out of this COVID, but I will also help all the other people in India. And by that time, I was already doing whatever I could do from my side. Like, I would have spent maybe 50, 100K, 200K, that from my personal money. But I simply created a kind of a crypto multi-sig account, and just posted that if you want to donate here. I will personally make sure that this transparently goes into India. And that time, like, I did not anticipate. I thought that total we will get like 1 million, 2 million, maximum 5 million, kind of donations. But then, by first day, it was already 1 million. I was like, okay, this 1 million is there. Let's see how we can. Next, second day, third day, it's 5 million. Sixth day, it's $10 million and all that. Like, it's kept on growing, kept on growing. And Vitalik himself, like, he's actually, like, to be honest, people like think, but he's actually the real, philanthropist. Like, he's very, what do you say, like, basically, because he put a lot of, like, his money. I think he initially, out of first 10 million, he himself was, $6 million out of that, right? So so that happened. And then, once I recovered from COVID, we all thought that, okay, everybody is fine after first 10 days or whatever. And then we said that, okay, let's go out and eat somewhere in Dubai. And I went there, and my phone died. And it's almost like, by the time it has like the least, like, only the last few percentage of battery, suddenly it started blowing up. Like, so many people, like, everybody is calling me on Telegram, this, that. And I'm like, what's going on? And before I could open, the phone died. I somehow found a charger. That what has happened, like, did we get hacked, like, did Polygon get hacked or whatever? But then we charged, and then I realized that somebody, like, wrote, and it is all over media, that Vitalik donated $1 billion in this meme coin Shiba Inu. And because, these meme coins, that time the practice was that you will donate to, like, some big personalities, so meme coin will not look a scam and all that. And what Vitalik did is, instead of burning, they were all expecting Vitalik will burn, but Vitalik sending out to the charities and all that. So he sent $1 billion notional amount at that time. Obviously, he thought that this will be like $5 or $10 million. But the moment I received, and the Shiba Inu community was like already on my Twitter, and like, are you going to sell this, that? I calmed them down. I said, guys, I'm not going to sell. I will only, like, I will not sell immediately anything into the market. I would just sell it over next 3, 4, 6 months. Don't worry, we will not affect. And we'll take some tier one market makers who will do this and all that. And I gave it to the, like, some prominent market makers. It's like online process. People applied, and then we gave it to them. And lo and behold, we were able to get like $474 million. Even Vitalik has said on Lex Friedman also, he was not expecting this much amount. So that became a very big amount. And out of that, during the emergency days, it's a very, very big, like, why did I say that it was not very well thought out? Because I did it out of passion, that no, let's help people in India. But only later on I realized that, the donations, especially in India and all that, and what you can see what is happening with USAID and all that, right? So many countries are, kind of alleging that, these NGOs get into these political meddlings in the different countries and all that. And especially in India, because the mandate was, this money has to go to India. That it, like, the regulatory framework around it was very hard, right? So I had to take a lot of these things, invite these volunteers, a lot of CAs and all that joined, and they provided me the framework. So I had to follow the framework, but still making sure that I don't end up donating to some NGO which has some activity going on. And obviously everybody wants to leech out of that money, right? Because in the NGO sector everywhere, a lot of people are there, like, as this is very public in the public discourse now, that people in the middlemen make money and all that. So I made sure that we, heavily scrutinize the projects, and only donate it to the organizations where there is absolutely no chance of embezzling or using this money for any, kind of purpose, which is basically anti-Indian, right? Because there was a lot of, like, alleging on various NGOs that they basically do anti-Indian activities, and so we had to do so. But we were still able to, within that emergency time frame, in 3 to 6 months, we were able to get like around $74 million in India. It's a huge money in Indian context.
Yeah.
And then Vitalik was also surprised and all that, so he wanted to donate outside of US also, and I said, you are the donor if you want. So I returned half of like $200 million back to him, which he donated to a lot of like biomedical organizations in US who are doing post COVID research and this and that, while we have that another $215 million stash and all that, which we are deploying in India. But we are very strategic about, like, Vitalik is basically upstream research, like give this $200 million to top people, and maybe they crack something which can have big downstream effects. Whereas like our approach is, we also go upstream, but we are very heavily scrutinize, like who's doing what is the impact sheet and this and that. So our deployment is much lower, but we are also seeing, like, right now, that the impact is also much higher, like probably in India specifically, like our last year we would have deployed like maybe 15-20 million dollars, and I think the outcome of that is like much prominent within these institutes and everything.
That's awesome to hear. Just the last question I have, and a quick answer question. What are your future goals? Just what are your aspirations right now, just for BFI, for Polygon, for everything that you're building on the philanthropy side, and then also just business wise?
Yeah, for BFI, like, see, like, basically, on a strategic level, like, coming from India, we are a very utility based, like, I grew up in India, right? So we are a very utility based economy. But now working in crypto, working with a lot of Americans, like, initially with BFI, I also went with a lot of utility based stuff, like, where like there is some catastrophe, help people there, set up ICU beds, give a lot of food to, like, hundreds of thousands of families, months worth of ration in those kind of days and all that, setting up hospitals and all that. But then I now have learned that the power of US is about inspiring, right? Like, the whole country is like India, for example. We have like 10,000-year-old history and people have a culture and all that. But US, like, is probably like 250-year-old country, the current people, but it is built on few ideas which have inspired generations after generations to preserve the core values of US, which is liberty and individual freedom, and the American dream and all those things. And I have now realized that with BFI, I want to inspire Indians to do things at the big scale. So I have some very interesting things coming up, like, obviously we are already doing funding a lot of high end research, upstream research, and some of the topmost scientists and topmost institutes in India. But then we are now thinking of, like, having even more inspirational stuff, for example, like, having a almost like a Nobel Prize of India kind of prize, right? So which can inspire the best engineers. But again, like, a lot of nuances are being discussed, that do we want to have that as only Indians get it, because then obviously the competition becomes bar becomes much lower, or we set up the bench in India, but then it gets distributed all across the world for all the scientists, but thereby it inspires, like, those scientists are coming into India, inspires the next breed of our scientists and all that to do something big. So inspirational is the stuff I want to do with BFI. But apart from that, we keep doing a lot of relief work on the ground. But I want to dedicate a large chunk on inspiring people, and how can we get like $2 trillion output from this $200 million BFI.
That's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time and doing this. I think it's so important that you've kind of taken on this initiative and really care about the place that you've built, and the people that are there and want to really improve their lives and inspire them to do more. I think it's going to have amazing and profound effects on them all. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do next. So thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much, Ben.